Hello and welcome to Country Life Simple. It's another day of baking. I'm really excited. I always love my baking days. Today I'm going to make some crusty German style bread rolls. I'm also going to make a mixed flour, so rye and wheat flour German style bread. It's a pretty basic, simple recipe. I think I made it before on this channel. If not, I'll put the recipe in the description box down below. And I'm also going to make ANZAC biscuits. It's ANZAC Day tomorrow here in Australia, so I have to have ANZAC biscuits. So I share that recipe with you. And I have some plums which are past their prime. I could make some jam out of those, but I made a lot of plum jam recently, so I've got plenty of that. So I decided to make a little plum tart. I'll see how exactly I'll make that. I haven't decided yet. And then later on today, I want to make lasagna for dinner tonight. So as some of you might know, I bought the anchor shrimp a little while ago. And I'm still not 100% sure if I'm saying this correctly. I hope so. I bought a couple of attachments with the anchor shrimp. I bought the mince package because I do a lot of mincing and things like that when I make sausages and cold meats. And I bought the lasagna attachment. I used to have the Kenwood, and I used to use the Kenwood lasagna attachment. It was probably one of my most frequent used attachments. The issue I always had with the Kenwood was that the machine was quite tall and the attachments went on top of it, so I always worked like this. The anchor shrimp is a lot smaller, and you actually put it on its side. So I actually work down here, which is a lot more comfortable because I'm pretty short. So I'm curious to trial this out today. Obviously, I made lasagna heaps of times before, but I've never made it with the anchor shrimp. So I'll show you that as well. And yeah, we'll just start doing some baking now, hey? Hopefully you find some recipes you enjoy here today. Try them out. Let me know how you went. And if you have any questions or any comments, let me know in the comment section down below, and I can address that in the next few videos. But for now, let's make some bread rolls. For our bread rolls, I already dissolved 4 grams of fresh yeast in 160 grams of cold milk. And now I'm going to add 250 grams of plain flour, all-purpose flour in America. Rest of this, and opening up a new one. As usual, I will put the recipe in the description box below. I also gonna add 50 grams of rye flour. And then I'm gonna add 10 grams of salt. And 6 grams of olive oil. You can use any other oil as well. Okay, and then I'm going to mix that up in my anchor shrimp before I add the pre-dough. And I'm going to show you the pre-dough in a minute. Oops. This is how the pre-dough looks like. Hope you can see the bubbles. That's 200 grams of plain flour, 200 grams of water, and 20 grams of my sourdough starter. But I'm going to mix the ingredients I just showed you. I'm going to mix them up first, and then last I'm going to add this to it. You see, this is a very dry dough. Doesn't mix all that well. So I'm now going to add my beautiful pre-dough. I don't know if you can see the bubbles. Now I'm going to mix that in for about 5 minutes. And this is why you need a wheat dough quite long. Remember at the beginning it sort of got stuck to the bottom, and now it has loosened from the, it starts to loosen from the bowl. That's when you know you have kneaded it enough. See how it nicely comes off now? I've kneaded it for about close to 12 minutes now. And I'm going to rest this now. See, you're already seeing how it breaks up in the middle there. So that's perfect. That's what you want. I'm going to stop this, put a lid on, and let it rest for about an hour. If a wheat dough is still sticky, it hasn't been kneaded for long enough. See, most of the stuff comes off. Where are you, camera? See how clean this is? So after 1 hour, the dough has risen quite nicely. And we're going to take this out of the Enkish room. I did injure myself. I bought a new bread lame and I put the blade on and this is what happened. So I got to be a bit careful. First we put the dough on the floured kitchen bench surface. We just knead it through a little bit. So yeah, just make sure that there's plenty of flour on the surface so it doesn't stick to it. And then we just want to take some of the gas out and knead it through. And then we separate it into about 8 pieces. So I normally quite like to make it like this, halve it, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and I do weigh them to see that they're approximately the same weight. Perfect. So once I've got them all into similar size pieces, I'm just gonna flatten them a little bit and then I'm gonna fold them into each other and then I'm just gonna roll them. And the last one I'll just show you again. So I try to form it into a rectangular shape. It's a little bit like when you do a stretch and fold of a normal loaf of bread. You stretch it a little bit, you fold it, and then you roll it tightly into each other. And then to create that bread roll shape, the round shape, you sort of move it around like this. So I've got them in this, I can bake them in this as well. It's specifically for bread rolls. And I'm going to put them in the fridge now for 3 hours while I'm baking the rest of the stuff. So in here I have a tiny little bit of water, more diastatic malt and salt. And now I'm going to add the pre-dough. So this is the rye pre-dough and you see how relatively firm this is. Gonna add that. And I'm also gonna add the wheat pre-dough and see how much more liquid this is. So I always sort of am amazed when I watch some YouTube videos where people have their starters and it's really liquid. I always have to remind myself that my starter is a rye starter and it's just not like that. All right, we're also gonna add some flour. That's 60 grams of spelt flour and 175 grams of rye flour. And now we let the anchor shrimp do her thing while I wash up. Okay, after about 2 minutes of kneading, we take the equipment out, and obviously it is a rye wheat dough, so it is quite sticky. But it is a nice smooth dough, and we're going to put the lid on and let it rest for about an hour and a half. Looks very good. All right, see you in an hour and a half. So after an hour, I'm going to take the dough out, and I do need a scrapey thing. And I've got some flour here. All right, I'll try to shape it into like an oval form, and it's easier if my hands are a little bit wet. It's really hard with this one finger. Don't forget, this is not a wheat dough, so we just don't need to stretch and fold it. This is actually a lot more elastic than I thought. It's now a nice shape. I'm going to put it into the banneton. And I'm just going to close this here properly. And I preheat the oven to 250 degrees and let this rest for another half hour. And then I'm going to put this other way around onto the Dutch oven and bake it for about 50 minutes. For the ANZAC biscuits, we're going to mix 190 grams of rolled oats, and this is the original recipe from 1914. There's also a newer version with coconut, but we're making the original ones. We're adding 150 grams of plain flour, and 165 grams of sugar. I'm using raw sugar. Now I'm slightly regretting that I didn't take a bigger bowl, but that's okay. I'm just going to mix the dry ingredients together, and then we're going to add our wet ingredients, which is 2 tablespoons of boiling water, and I mix 1 teaspoon of bicarb soda in that. And then we're going to add the melted butter, 125 grams of melted butter, and I added a tablespoon of golden syrup. I actually didn't have any golden syrup, so I used maple syrup. Similar, not quite the same, but similar. And then we're just going to mix this all up. Once we have mixed this all together, we roll this into small balls, about 10-cent pieces. It's probably more 20-cent. Put it on a baking dish, and then we flatten it a little bit just before we put it in the oven. So this is the first time I'm using the lasagna attachment on the anchor shroom. So I'm really curious how this works. So here at the end there's like a little thing which I need to insert here. And then I tighten this nut, this wing nut, yep. And then I put it on its side. That's pretty neat. I really like that I can work in this area and not like on the Kenwood high up there. All right, same with the next piece. Go back to 0. The first one I always put through twice. Oh, this is good. Excellent. Now I just assemble my lasagna. So I just took my bread out of the oven. It's still very hot. So that can cool down here now. And I increased the temperature again on the oven, and I'm now going to do the bread rolls. So they have rested in the fridge for about 3 hours. And now I'm just, see, this is my new tool, and I just slightly touched the corner and I immediately bled. So we're going to do a mixture of straight cuts and crosses. And we're going to put this into the 250-degree hot oven for 20 minutes. Here are my ANZAC biscuits for ANZAC Day tomorrow. They look very yummy. And then here we have the bread rolls and the bread. All right, let's have a look at the bread. Yum. Dinner time.
The event has become a tradition for students from across the region to come together and reflect their vision on ANZAC Day.
I didn't end up making plum tart. I just had a cup of Earl Grey and sat outside in the sun and enjoyed. I really love this time of the year. It's absolutely beautiful.